Hi, Stefan Swartling here. My wish list for Apple and iOS for the year 2013 is quite long actually, but first of all I would like to see that we can choose default things like email client, web browser, camera app, audio recording and so on. Another thing I would like to see in iOS is Widgets actually. Before I had an Android phone and only uses iOS and iPhone and iPad. I would say that Widgets only drains the battery on phones, but I was wrong. Now when I have an Android phone I can see how useful Widgets are, and they actually don't drain battery much. It depends on which widgets you use though. Of course there are widgets that updates in real time and so on that drains the battery, but most of the widgets have a lot of options and settings and so on, so you can decide how often the widget should update and so on. For example, a calendar widget could be very useful. I love to have my calendar as a widget, and you can have your Gmail inbox as a widget if you want, and RSS reader as a widget and all that. And I think widgets is very useful, so I would like to see a widget system of some kind on iOS. And another thing I would like to see on iOS is real multitasking. I love the multitasking on Android because apps can update in the background and so on, and for example Pocket. It's a huge difference between Pocket on iOS and Pocket on Android, because on Android all my links I send to Pocket gets added instantly to Pocket on Android. On iOS you need to start the app first, and so it can sync all your latest links before you have them in the list. But on Android they sync directly in the background. So real multitasking can be very useful, so hopefully we'll see that on iOS soon, because real multitasking is great and it doesn't drain battery more than iOS multitasking. And another thing on my wish list for Apple and iOS is a file system, or at least so you can use your iPhone as a USB drive of some kind. Because one thing that is very useful with an Android phone is when you plug it into your computer, either with the cable or by Wi-Fi. You connect it to your computer with cable or Wi-Fi. Then you can use your internal storage, and if you have an Android phone with external micro SD slot, you can use that card in that slot as a USB drive. So internal memory and external memory on an Android phone could be used as an USB drive, exactly as you have a hard drive or USB memory stick or something. So I would like to see that feature for iOS too, because that's a huge drawback. For example, when you record video on your iPhone and would like to transfer it to your computer for video editing, then you need to use either iTunes or a video editing app for that or something. I would like to see the iPhone as a real USB drive. That would be awesome. And the last thing for this time on my wish list for Apple and iOS is that I would like to see an iPhone with another size. They could have the default iPhone as it is now for all the Apple fans out there, but they can add a bigger iPhone too for people like me that want bigger devices. So they could have a 5-inch or maybe 5.5-inch iPhone model. I think that will be on my wish list at least. It would be really cool to have an iPhone around 5 to 5.5 inch, because then I would not need to have two devices, a tablet and a phone. That's why I like Android phones, big Android phones, because then I don't need to have a tablet, because then I can use the phone for that. So hopefully we'll see all this on my wish list but I won't count on it. Okay, bye.